Okay. So, welcome everybody to the EU edition of the Arizona After Party. Woohoo! So, how many people were in Arizona here?
Well, I was.
Quite a few of you. And Caroline, Kirsch, Cheryl, it's a good job you're here and you were in Arizona. We need you three. I'm Dave and Eric. Yep. So, what I want to do is just start off with a few little questions around to the speakers. So, given that we've got five of you who are actually in Arizona on stage, we might make the most of you. Actually, six. Angie, you're with us as well. So many speakers, so many people to forget. I know this. This is painful. So I'm going to start with the top corner. Cheryl, go for it. What was the highlight of Arizona for you? What stood out? What did you take away? And what do you think was the biggest give that you gave? What's the most feedback you've had?
Wow, good question. There's not one specific moment that stood out to me. I could find gold within every person who spoke and every person I connected with, actually. But what stood out for me was an incredible flow that spanned the 2 days. So, as if every speaker led into the next one, every person's piece of personal power led in. And that included people who were sharing and the conversations that were held in the breaks. So for me, it felt like 250 people that met for one purpose and a purpose of being. And so I don't have one specific. I could probably acknowledge everybody who was in that room in some way, shape, or form. And repeat your second question, or you don't remember?
Well, there was kind of three all tied in, but it was about, what's the biggest piece of feedback that you've had? Given that you were on stage, you were up there. What was the biggest bit of feedback that you had personally from people who said that really hit me? What was that you
Yeah.
had?
From what I shared, or as a whole? From what
Mm-hmm.
I shared. Okay. So, well, that was my first ever speaking event. That was the first time I have held a microphone and the first time I've spoken into a microphone. And what I loved, and anyone who knows me knows that I really love the power of a story. And what the feedback I was getting was, and the beauty and the gift it was for me to hear how other people had heard themselves and what I had to share. So just as I sat on a stage and shared what I did, then I actually got to connect with people in the breaks and hear pieces of who they were and how they'd heard about how I had shared about being in spirit. So that was just incredible for me. It was a real gift, a real honor.
Lovely. And I love what you said about 250 stories in the room, because this whole thing is all about who you are. It's not about a single person. It's not about what anyone else would do. It's about who you are. So that's amazing that you kind of bring that out and say, everybody's story is the same. Like gravitas, everybody's got a story. I love it. Caroline, you highlights?
My highlight probably is more of a kind of a summary takeaway I had from the event, which kind of began with Sanika. He said one line that just kind of pierced my soul, which was, the fact that you have scars is not proof that you are hurt, but that you stopped bleeding. And when I heard that, as I hear it even right now, that very often, we hide our scars, we hide our vulnerabilities, because, the body is a closed system, and sometimes we put a dollop of shame or self-criticism on things that have happened to us. And I heard in that moment such a permission slip to just be you. And by the time it came to lunchtime on the first day, I remember turning to my friend Dinah, who traveled with me for the event, and said, every person who speaks a version of be you. Yours is the most important seat here. Yours is the most important experience of what happens here. You are the person that your generations before you has prayed for to be here. And there were so many people who said that, whether it was Kasudi or Steve Bacon or Ankush or whoever. I just felt there was this real resounding message of it's okay to be you. It's all about you and about how you share who you are in the world. And maybe that's the big impact for me, which is more than a takeaway in the sharing of who you are and the sharing of who I am. And by the time I got on stage, and I had kind of gone through, oh, thank God I'm not on the first day, through to, oh my God, why am I on the second day, you know? and because it just got more and more powerful, because as Cheryl was saying, there was kind of an arc of a story that was being created where, you know, this like Bono from U2 talks about when a lead singer in a band gets in front of an audience, it's a chemical reaction that happens between the singer and the band and the audience, and you can't tell where one starts and the other finishes. And I really felt that sense of that was in the room, that was on the breaks, that was in the queue for the toilet that seemed to be interminable, that was in the, you know, over the lunch or whatever it was. And the piece that I spoke to, kind of in your second question, what was it that I said that seemed to resonate? With my kind of decision before the event was not to prep. And I was on the Being in Business panel along with Rich Habits and Hina Khan and Sarah Adnani. And we had decided to not script our questions and just take questions from the audience. And my kind of commitment to myself was in the spirit of be you and share from you, was just to say whatever arose. And I have spoken, you know, in many events and many audiences. But the thing that seemed to resonate was somebody asked a question about ego and how do I do what I do without showing ego? And what was really present for me was that very often it's the ego that keeps us small. It's the ego that keeps us going down a well-worn path that we think serves us, but the more often we go through it, we actually cut off possibilities rather than embrace it. And something of that message, which came from somewhere deep within me, because I don't remember ever scripting it or ever talking about ego in that way, seemed to really resonate, because what it opened up for people in the rest of the half day, kind of for the of the program, was a series of conversations around how we can be more expansive in the world, how we can set down something that we thought to be true and maybe just test it and see if it still is. So my most frequent conversation in the second half of the conference was that. And I kind of go back to how Sanika set it up, you know, sometimes the scars that we have are not proof that we got cut, but that we stopped bleeding. I can't remember your third question, but that's just what's here right now.
Brilliant. I love it. There's so much talk about ego being this big fluff and bluster and, you know, the personality that people hide behind, but we don't often hear about ego being the bit of, you know, the fear-based ego of what will people think, therefore. Right. I love that answer. That's brilliant.
Yeah, because ego can sometimes give us a sense of safety and protection that we often don't credit it with. And I guess what I see kind of with the leaders that I work with, it's that fear of the vulnerability showing through that might mean, newsflash, we're actually people and human and not titles.
No,
I know. It feels like a public service announcement right here, right now. Yeah. 7:45 in the evening. Right? And the more we do that, the more we create separation. Which of course is the opposite of what we talk about when we talk about who we are being in communion with others.
Brilliant. I love that. Kush, swing around to you, buddy. Highlights, biggest takeaways, what's the best feedback you've had? What's the kind of impact that people have said to you? You know, I really took that on board.
I'm going to need to have you repeat the questions when I come back to it because there's so much to say. But I think so similar to Caroline, I purposely, didn't have a script when I spoke on stage, and you know, so I had a kind of panel with Chris and JP and Alok, and then there was like a keynote. And I've said to people, in some ways, I didn't do any prep, and in other ways, every single day of my life was prep for that talk. Because my topic was being in being, which was beautiful because it was such an open topic. And so every day that I step into being who I declare myself to be was preparation. And I remember getting on stage and just really taking in the room. And it wasn't me speaking, but it was allowing, I had some kind of bullet points, but it was allowing the universe, intelligence, the divine to speak through me. And my biggest highlight of the whole trip to Phoenix was really tapping into that. I don't know if it's a British thing. I've been really reluctant to own that, in like to talk about spirit, to talk about the divine, to talk about, even though I talk about wisdom, but that's really what was happening. And I had so many moments in Phoenix, both in the room and then outside of the room, that really was that was the message that was coming through. And it was little things I was picking up from kind of other speakers, like a look had this metaphor of kind of two sides of a coin or a medallion, which is the human side and the God side. And that was a big takeaway for me. But it was all tying in with that there is something bigger guiding me, and therefore there's something bigger guiding all of us. And so in terms of the feedback, one of the biggest bits of feedback I had was I invited everybody in the room, I invited them to be enrolled in this mission of changing the consciousness of the planet. And that was a big statement. It was a big ask. It was a big invitation, and a lot of people felt that. But what was really interesting was it wasn't it wasn't kind of like a big bang your fist on the table type of not that there's anything wrong with that, but it was more of the feedback I got was it was very, very powerful as a talk, but in a quiet power. And what I'm really seeing is that, and again, this is just for me, people will have their own insights, but what I'm really seeing for me is that the more I wake up to being who I can be, the potential that is in me, the more I'm seeing that this is a universal thing. So it's not like, oh, Steve, Ankush hires Steve Hardison. Steve Hardison designates Ankush as MG, and now like there's something really special about me. No, it's like, oh, I'm working with the ultimate coach, the best transformational professional on the planet that I'm aware of, and he's helping me access levels of potential that I had no idea were even possible. And in doing so, I'm realizing everyone has the ability to access those levels of potential. So, that's just been a kind of a slow burn. But what's really lovely for me is I can really talk about that with some confidence. I really believe that, and people are waking up to it. And I think that we're kind of told so much in society, like, hey, you're not special, just kind of get on with things. I was told, stop daydreaming. And this feels like the exact opposite. It's like, no, we can dare to dream. We can dare to change the planet. We can dare to change our family. We can dare to change our environment. And when I'm coming, that's a place to come from. And when I come from that place, I mean, it's just impacting everything in my life, since Phoenix. So yes, I'm a coach, so it impacts my coaching conversations, but it's not just in those conversations. It's in, just meeting people on the aeroplane. It's you know, spending time with family. It's talking to my wife. It's everywhere. It just gives a different context of being in the world when you come from a place of, certainly when I've come from a place of what really is possible for every single human being. It's totally different. It's totally different. What were your other questions?
So the final kind of one to that is, has there been any specific kind of takeaway that you've had like distinct feedback about, that people were like, bang, there was something in your talk that kind of people really picked up on and went, that was the takeaway?
Yeah, I mean, the takeaway really was people seeing what's possible for them.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a case of, hey, I'm standing on stage and going, hey, I'm going to change the consciousness of the planet. I'm just letting you guys know, if you want to help me, great.
Get on with it.
It was like, no, we are. And so one of the bits of feedback I got was people coming up to me going, I've had this little feeling in me for my whole life, or I've had this little nudge, and you speaking this on stage just has given us permission. And, a lot of the times there's nothing for me to do. I'm just like, hey, I'm encouraging you, keep doing the thing. Like a rising tide lifts all boats. So if someone listens to this, or listens to what I said in Phoenix, or listens to the interview I did with Eric, and they think, man, there's something really that I wanted to do my whole life, and it's got nothing to do with me. I might play no role in that. That's great, because we all win as a human race when any person really steps into their truest potential. When any person is willing to wake up and do something bigger than them and be guided towards something, I think we all are. We all win. So to me, that's been, and it wasn't just one person. I've had several people feed that back to me. Of a variety of things, and it's not just coaches. So that really tells me that kind of I'm on the right path, and I guess how could I not be? Because it's not, this is the other takeaway. It's not about me. I'm a vessel. I'm a messenger, and I've just got to get the ego, the small me, out of the way, and just keep following that and showing up.
Brilliant, mate. I mean, you've said something that really kind of resonated with me straight away. I was in a call with someone earlier, actually, and we were talking about the whole TUC events and books, and someone said to me, what's the biggest thing that you've kind of had within the book? And I was like, it's not about a single thing within the book that has been the biggest change in my life. It's the fact that there is a book. The fact that you've got this guy, Steve, going around being who he is, just unashamedly him, that permission has been the biggest thing that I ever say I learned from it. It was never about anything that was done. It was about who he is being that then gave the permission. I think that's an amazing takeaway. Brilliant. Eric.
Awesome. I wanted to share something that I wish I had done different at the event. For those of you that are going to be in Birmingham, because you haven't done the event yet, this might help you. I wish I'd been more intentional in connecting with people one-on-one at the event. The thing that's special about these live events, we're like a virtual community. Like right now, we're doing Zoom, right? With the Facebook group, the YouTube, we're virtual. And so the opportunity to get together at these live events is really, 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 really special. The people in the room are special. And so I just want to really encourage you to hear this message when you get to Birmingham, those of you that are going to be there, and just connect with as many people as you can. You'll be really glad that you did. And the most special thing for me, I had my daughter speak. She's 18. I invited her to the event. I didn't say you have to come. She lives in Arizona. She goes to the University of Arizona. And I said, hey, if you want to come, you can come. And it was a Friday and Saturday event. There's a lot of really great parties in a college town on Friday night and Saturday night. And so I didn't know she wanted to come hang out with her dad. And so she said, yeah, and she participated in the event. She got a lot of great takeaways. And so my intuition guided me to ask her right before I spoke, about 30 minutes, hey, do you want to come up on stage and share what you're learning? And she said she did. So like 30 minutes of prep. She's not a professional speaker. She's one of the youngest people in the room. And she came up and did an amazing, amazing job. And so that was my highlight, just like watching her operating fearlessly in front of all these adults. And so that was a really special event. And then the last thing I wanted to share was just touching on something Ankush just shared about how in our culture, it's like we're not special. Like that's how the culture is. And I love how Steve Hardison creates us as that. And you know, he'll say these outrageous things to me, like, you lead like Abraham Lincoln, and it's like really hard to even like wrap my head around that, you know. And so I love how Steve role models that, and then you know we carry that over in our own way as we share that with the world. And so I don't have anything else I want to share. I just want to turn it back to you, Matt.
No, all good. And I'll say honestly, you know, from what I've heard about Arizona, one of the biggest highlights that I've had consistently back is about your daughter being on stage.
Wow.
You know, I've had so many people say that she was brilliant and that it was, you know, one of the highlights of the event. You know, you should be dead proud. You know, I have no clue about who she is. I've not seen the video of what she did, but I've had consistent feedback about she was brilliant. So kudos to
Wow.
her and you.
Thank you.
Oh, I've got two. You pair, pipe down for a minute. Angie, Dave, you were both on stage. Anything you want to share around Arizona? What was the big things for you?
Go ahead, Dave.
Well, I came away with, thank you very much, Angela. Let's go.
You had a good jersey on, Dave. Come on, we know that.
I had the opportunity to sit at a table with Eric Lofholm and his daughter, and with Kush, and with Penny, and with Sachin, and got to observe people in a different way. I got to meet Carrie for the first time in person. I got to meet Eric Lofholm for the first time in person after working with him for more than 2 years, which blows my mind. The thing that I was left with, and this is not the question you asked, I'll answer that, but the thing I was really, really left with was the power of being with people. Exactly as they are, exactly as they're not, and being able to see the beauty and the power in them. I got to hug Jim Wiltshire after knowing him for over a year. I got to hug Sanyika, the fire starter, and oh my goodness, guys,
You
if you
survived.
haven't, I am not a small guy, right? I'm a tall fellow. I give good hugs, you know, and Sanyika like enveloped me and just held me, and it was one of the most powerful and empowering experiences of life, was to be able to connect with people on that level. There was also there were some children in the audience. The Abigail Olea and her husband brought their kids, and one of the most beautiful messages I got from the entire event was a card from one of the girls. And then later I saw Abigail had posted their notes from the event, and they had like listed all the items I talked about from listening. Listen like God is speaking to you. It's like, oh my goodness. And there's artwork, it's beautiful. And it was truly a wonderful experience. And that is basically what I wanted to share, is that as we move towards Birmingham, it turns out my brother will be in Birmingham, my brother and his wife. Now, I'm not sure if they're going to be at the event yet, but that was where he served his LDS mission back in the late 1990s, was in Birmingham. and he and his wife are going to Germany to pick up their daughter, and they're stopping over to say hello to the people in Birmingham. And so I'm working to arrange tickets for them and enroll them in the possibility of not just being in Birmingham, but being with us in Birmingham. And so it's another boulder in the ocean of possibility. And you couldn't have planned it. I know, Matt, you've tried to plan it better, but you couldn't have planned it better. So
I just hear the possibility of kidnap. It's fine. We can deal with this.
Well, maybe not. Let's agree to disagree on that one. That's what I wanted to share. Thank you so much, guys.
Brilliant. Angie?
Hey, Angela, Matt,
Angela. Sorry.
It's good, brother. Good to be with you guys. Oh. Hmm. So hard to find words what it was like to be there, guys. And I've been to a lot of things, a lot of events, but this was just extraordinary. Just there's no good word for it. Extra special. It's just the feeling that I got from it. The feeling. So many highlights, so much gold. You know, one of my biggest highlights was 100% Sarah Lofholm, Eric's daughter. And the absolute coolest part for me in that whole scene was getting to see Eric be a father. She was up there, she was crying, she was maybe had went over her time a little bit, and how he just how he walked over to her and just comforted her, gave her gentle reminders. And you know, I've never had a mom or a dad, so just to witness that was just, the being of that was just incredible. So many beautiful things happened that weekend. I heard being selfless is the ultimate form of love. And it's just a constant reminder, you know, none of this being here, like on planet Earth, has nothing to do with me. Like, it's not about me at all. So that was just a lovely reminder. And just reminding me that I can always be better than I am. I can always be better than I am. I had the opportunity to speak on being in adversity. And the biggest thing two things that I got from that, you know, after, with people talking to me afterwards, was they were saying how authentic I was, and that they really appreciated that, and they felt like they felt it, and it meant so much to them. And it just made me think of one of Amy's quotes. She was the keynote speaker, Amy Harnson, right? She said, "The effect that I have on others is the most valuable currency there is." And I get that. And I got that, and I heard that. And I feel like the biggest effect I could have on others is through my authenticity, not being who I think the person in front of me, not being, whether I'm talking to a potential client, whatever is happening in my life, like not being who I think that they want me to be, or saying what I think they want me to say, like, but just being me. Only always, just every moment of every day, just being me. And I love that. Like, when I have a thought, is it my thought, or is it a divine thought? Is it my action, or is it a divine action? And I got that from a lot of speakers, whether they said that or not. I could just tell, like what Ankush was talking about, like he didn't have his talk planned. Like, it wasn't his thoughts, it was divine thoughts. It wasn't his words, it was divine words. And that's everything and every day for me. So I love saying that. The other thing I got, people were talking to me about, was a point that I brought up on stage, saying that for so many years, going through so many adversities, I was always waiting for somebody to come and save me. I didn't realize that I could be my own rock. I didn't need anything outside of me to save me. And so many people can go up from that. So that made me feel really good, because that was a good moment for sure that I had, just realizing that in my life. So that's guys, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. I mean, you know, we've had a chat, we've got stories we can trade, and I'm absolutely with you that, you know, that story is powerful. And Cheryl will tell you that there might be something about being me that becomes a little bit more than something else. There might be a working title of being me going on somewhere in the background. Does anyone have any questions for any of the speakers? Everybody who's here, anyone got anything burning? Caroline, go on, and then I'll come to Jeff.
It's not a question. It's more a reflection. Because as Eric spoke about his daughter, one of the things that struck me about what Sarah demonstrated was that, you know, we as speakers, we talk about the impact of being that it's had in our lives. And it was really beautiful to hear the impact of this work on the lives of people around us. And that's what I experienced in Eric and Sarah's exchange. And I think Angela was pointing in that direction of, you know, seeing Eric being dad is part of that. And, you know, it was really humbling actually to witness something that was so impactful and intimate and really profoundly simple, and yet profoundly difficult to proverbially get right or to really live into. And you know, I think that's what Sarah, I think certainly what she demonstrated for me, and I'm really grateful that Eric chose to share his time so graciously and give us that opportunity to say that.
Jeff, what you got?
Sorry, yeah, I just wanted to ask Angela again. Sorry, what was that quote that Amy said about the best currency? I just really liked it, but I didn't quite catch it all.
Yeah, no worries. The effect that we have on others is the most valuable currency that there is.
Lovely. Thanks, Angela.
Sure.
It's a great phrase. Any other questions? No? Well, go on then.
Maybe bold, Matt. That's my question. Good. That was not a no, so I take it to be a yes.
Come on, then.
I really took this, you know, really to heart. I'm really conscious that Wolfgang and Jim are here, and Stephen, who are also in the room, and I wonder, is there an opportunity to just open it out a little further, and just to hear from them, and if somebody else was in the room that I don't know, Penny also in the room, we haven't heard from. I would just love to hear it's been a whole month and what's different. It just would be super curious. Just in case anyone thought there was any passengers around, you know?
Yeah.
Thanks, Caroline. Matt, I'd like to say something if that's okay.
Absolutely.
It's just so special being here and getting this lovely nudge of those 2 incredible days. The impact has been far and wide for me. I think I might have shared with some people there that I had the joy of doing my Be With session a couple of days after, and then doing the Lamron event with Sachin, and then also doing a couple of a day road trip to the Grand Canyon. So I had a hell of a 10 days. And just listening to Angela again and Caroline and obviously Ankush and Eric and Dave, it just takes me back, and I'm saying with a dear friend of mine who's just beginning the journey of the being journey. And this is Sarah.
Hey,
She's coming to the Birmingham event. So I'm enrolling Sarah and many other people. And it's just,
Brilliant.
it's so heartwarming. And Matt, you've got your work cut out to come up with anything near to Phoenix, and I know you will surpass it, my friend. It was the most extraordinary couple of days. I think there's so much that I took from it, but love and possibility was two things that really just was etched into everybody in that room. And be, you know, just listening to the Firestarter, you know, and that video, and be you, like own you, love you. I've heard that, and I didn't just hear it with my ears, I heard it with my heart, and it penetrated me, and I was like, whoa. And goodness me, the amount of tears I had in those 2 days was extraordinary, just from love and laughter and realization. So to everybody involved, thank you for 2 of the most extraordinary days I can remember.
Beautiful. And challenge accepted, buddy. Just you wait. Anyone else? I feel like I'm sitting waiting because I then get to plug the whole Birmingham event and tell you how good it is going to be. So,
Hey, Matt, Jim had his hand up. You may not just
I did see that. I was just waiting to come to Jim.
Are you waiting for me? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks. Yeah, the feeling is certainly comes back every time I'm together in this type of a group. And okay, so something I would say a few things. One is that I definitely had a shift. There was a big major shift that occurred, and it started right at the beginning of the event, and has just been on this musical journey, waves of shifting. So it's time released shift. And so it was like my first concert. I remember my first concert. I think I was 14 years old. My older sisters took me. So anyway, but it was like a concert in a lot of ways, in that there was this resonance in the room. There was this energy, a collective energy, for lack of a better term, other than maybe a better term is love, openness, acceptance, being authentic, being present, all these qualities just exuded and filled that space up and busted out the door and out into the courtyard. And my experience was okay, so about 15 years ago, I went through what sometimes people call a satori, an awakening of sorts, instant awakening. And I tried, and after that, I tried to talk with people about it. And there was nobody that I knew that I could talk to. In me. And, you know, things have changed a little bit. I found a few people that are my spiritual buddies, you might call it. But when I walked into that room, the whole room was my spiritual buddy. Everybody in there was my spiritual buddy. And it's not just coming from a spiritual standpoint, because I know even that word can be loaded. So, but it was just this, okay, so I walked away afterwards and I said, oh my God, that's what Ankush is talking about. That is the awakening of consciousness, a shift in global consciousness. That is an example of what is possible. And it's an attractor beam. It just pulls people in, and transforms them just by the nature of being there. So, yeah, my first concert was awesome with the Being folks. Thank you all for that so much. And I didn't even talk about one person who said brilliant things. Well, on Kush I did, but everybody that spoke and the conversations I had, brilliance, left, right, center, up and down. But it was this feeling that really stuck out. So one last thing I want to mention is that Eric, it sounds based on the feedback that you and Sarah should be taking your show on the road. Yeah, thanks so much for that. It was incredible.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jim. And yeah, I'll be making, you know what? I'll be making sure Judy watches this, you know, from the person who kind of started the events, you know, years ago and this, you know, that is an absolute beautiful statement to make about how it feels walking into the room. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, yes. Kudos to Judy and Eric. Is just a fabulously organized event as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wolfgang, hello, sir. What you got?
Good evening. Coming to Arizona, I made myself the biggest gift to have the time to breathe before and after the event. And why I'm saying that, it brought me to a place of being and vulnerability. And when I summarized the event, what stood out for me was being vulnerable. Being you is a lot about strengths and success, what I'm missing and what was really there. And that was primarily in two things which I observed. There was the children, and for me stood out Sarah, the strength and vulnerability and power. And I know Eric now a little bit after the last couple of months. We spent some time together, and hearing from her the story, what you shared, Eric, about your vulnerable time of having the tough time after separation from the children's perspective. That was just touching for me. I mean, I'm a divorced father of 3 daughters, so this is what I hear from my daughters. So who I'm being in my relationship with my former wife and my daughters. And I could hear myself. And the second thing, what stood out for me, there was many couples, and each of them, and also like the story from Steve Bacon, what I heard is everyone had a rock bottom. Almost every relationship had the situation. I heard it from Casey. They stood in front of divorcement and took it from there. So what I heard was having the vulnerability of feeling this most weak point and taking it up from there is a feature and not a bug. Somehow it means it needs to be like that. So it's not to be avoided, it's like taking it in. And I had huge shifts coming back home. I didn't really feel huge shifts there, but coming home, my relationship is different to my wife, to my children. How we are together, there is still issues, and what I see, I can handle it differently. How I am being in conflict is different. So just being in the space and observing and having just the energy around. I was very calm. I hear you, Eric. It's very great to see everyone first time. I was consciously not running around to have all that. And I enjoy where I was, not being busy, but being on a place and having every connection consciously. It was possibly not everyone, much less, but they were very deep and I enjoyed them very much. So it was a very powerful experience. And I was surprised how intimate it was. Birmingham will be certainly more British, more raw, and Arizona was very private. It was very personal, very calm. That was my experience. Very vulnerable. Arizona was very vulnerable. And I really enjoyed that, having that in a container of this awareness, of consciousness, of breathing. And I'm grateful for everyone who came to the breathing after the event, where we came together to take this conscious breath. For me, that was really my container, which I created. And I was very happy about that. It created a very safe space for me. I'm complete.
Lovely, mate. I'll fill you in a minute about what we're going to have in Birmingham. You might be surprised. It might not be as raucous as what you expect with me around. Penny.
Hello.
Hello. How are
Everyone.
you? Long
I'm
time
doing
no
great.
speak.
Okay, all right. So I took lots of notes. I loved it. I thought it was just amazing. And just a couple nuggets that I loved. Whatever you're thinking is who I am. So if you have when somebody's like, in the book when Iyanla, I think it's Iyanla and Steve, he's like, I love your story of me. Like it's you, each of you have a story of who I am or an opinion. Oh, this person is this way. So whatever you're thinking is who I am, but it's not really, it's just your version of me. So I thought that was interesting. Like I have a version of everyone in here. Eric Lofholm, Carrie Rickenbach, like my interactions with you is how I see, it's my perspective, my lens that I see. And right after that was, what if I just love everyone? Self-love is the ultimate religion. So sorry, these are notes, but letting people know that whatever they do, you will still love them. It doesn't matter. There's no conditions. And so like our kids, if they do something and they feel bad that they're messing up, they know that you're going to still love them. And you tell them, whatever you do, I'll still love you. You're not going to mess up anything. And so the other day, my daughter was feeling bad and I'm like, well, why didn't you bring up in a doctor appointment the depression? Like we needed to talk about this. And she's like, well, I felt like if I would get in trouble, like if I said something. I've been having depression for a long time, but if I said something, I'll be in trouble. I'm like, no, we would just get it taken care of. Like you're not going to be in trouble for this is an emotional thing. It's not you did something wrong, that's just one example of, just letting them know, like, you're not going to get in trouble for whatever. And just let us know how you're feeling and we can help you and stuff. Let me see, there's another rich habits. A big thing was how you do one thing is how you do everything. So I loved how he had everybody close their eyes and he's like, I'm gonna squirt some water on someone and then you have to sing this song that you're thinking in your mind. And that was like, okay, am I gonna do this or not? And okay, I have this song in my mind. And then when he told everybody to open their eyes and he's like, okay, I didn't get anyone wet, but how did you feel after this? Like when I said, okay, if you get wet, you're going to be singing the song. And did you like back away and run to the back of the room or like, okay, I'm actually going to do this? Like, are you scared? And I thought, okay, how you do one thing is how you do everything. Like in your when you're scared, when you're like under stress, that's what he was talking about. Under stress, like how you do one thing is how you do everything. And that was really, really interesting and gave me something to think about, like, oh, am I running away from things, or am I stepping up and just doing hard things when things get tough? And then with Angela, I took lots of notes. And our limiting beliefs aren't facts. We don't need to believe our limiting beliefs. Like how we're like, oh, I can't do this. I don't like to speak in front of lots of people. Well, that's just an opinion. I can just like, I was a little scared my heart was just pumping, like just to even talk to you guys. And how many people are on here? 18. Like, come on. So, our limiting beliefs aren't facts. We can, if we want, we can do hard things. We can just disbelief that belief, make it not fact, right? Anyways, I have a ton more, but I won't. I just really that was, well, I think Angela, let's see, on that, she said, was it about loving adversity? Is that right? You know, like, bring it on. I can take it. I can do it. I'm the one who saves me. Self-awareness, study yourself, get a PhD in myself. Love regenerates, love heals, be open-minded, be a blessing to others, be of service, progress, not perfection, embrace adversity. Like, you got this. So anyways, there was so much I got, and I love reflecting on everything that everyone talked about. And the big thing was the love, like being in the presence of everyone. You can feel the energy of love. Like online, it's different. Like it's different. Being there in person, I can feel the energy, feel it. So where even in London and the other being events, you can feel it. It goes way, way out. It's just like, I think my husband and I, when we were in London, we stayed up. I don't know what time did we, oh, where's Dave? Did he leave? We stayed up. I don't know. It was 2:00 in the morning. And we were like, I'm writing in my journal. I was just like, I just wanted to go live. Like, this is amazing feeling. Like, it was just so, it was so cool. And in Arizona, it's just an amazing feeling to be there in person and to be around other like-minded, not just like-minded, but the energy there was so wonderful. And I loved being with everyone was there. That's all. I'm complete.
Thank you, Penny.
Hey, Matt. Could I just
Yes,
say
Mr. Lopham.
one thing really quick? So,
Yeah.
Caroline, my daughter actually just joined. Sarah's iPhone is her. She can't talk because she's in class right now, but she's listening. And Caroline, could you just speak maybe just briefly about what you shared about her earlier so she could hear it from you?
Sure. Thank you for the do-over, Eric. Sarah, this one's for you. When you spoke on stage with your dad, my sense was I witnessed something so private, so precious, and it was our first time seeing the impact of this work has on the people around us. Because while each of us spoke from our direct experience of what it's meant in our lives, you could give a testament to how it has been different since your dad has been doing this work. And you spoke so raw and so well and so beautifully. And one of the things we were all saying before you joined was it was lovely to see your dad being dad, because for us, he's this leader, and leaders are human too. So thank you for sharing all that you that you shared and in the way in which you did, because it really, really impacted not just me, but the whole room. So thanks, Eric, for the invitation. And I love that you're here with us. Thank you.
And also, Sarah, while you're here, you know, I wasn't in Arizona. I'm over in the UK, kind of dealing with the Birmingham side of things. And all the feedback I've got, so many people have told me the standout of those 2 days was you being on stage. Okay. And so we're slightly running over, but that's the way things with events work. No event ever went on time. We're okay with that. Okay, here comes a little bit of the self-promotion work. We know we don't like self-promotion in groups, do we, Eric? We don't do that. But we are here to talk about the next big thing as well. So for everyone that's here, I will give you a little bit of a glimpse around Birmingham. Let's start from the beginning, shall we? Why did Birmingham start? So Birmingham came about because we knew that we were onto something amazing. The work around Who We're Being, the book that came out from Steve, the group that Eric started that has been a catalyst for all of us to meet, that then went on to be what Judy did in Arizona, what, you know, Matt and the team around us did in London. We all knew that there was something in this work that is phenomenal and needs to be out in the bigger world. We all knew that this is bigger than a book. This is bigger than a Facebook group. This is there to be taken into the world that can do some amazing good. And it can do some good for the people who attend. It can be transformational for the people that you see on stage. It can give them a platform and create content and videos that is there and shareable on YouTube with the whole world to see. The reach is phenomenal. And these events create massive donations to do some good in the world. We've had, what's the route? I always get mixed up. What's the railroad? What's the charity called? What was it? Railroad?
Underground.
Underground. That's it. You know, there's been a huge donation go to there. There was a massive donation go to Kranti in India. There was a great donation go to Dad's house in London. This community has created thousands to do some good in the world, as well as all the ripples that we go on with. You know, everyone in this room, everyone in our community, everyone who reads the book goes on to do things that impact others and create good in the world. So these events are all about creating good. And Birmingham is no different. We have got 2 days of absolutely life-changing speakers. And Wolfgang, you'll like this. We've got the whole contrast. We've got the big, we've got the brash, we've got the quiet, we've got the soft, we've got the powerful. I think I'm in there somewhere. You know, we have got the whole range of people. And that it's been curated that way deliberately because we want this to appeal to everyone. This was always designed to be the first event that can create a sustainable, ongoing series of events that can bring this work out to the world. Because we always knew that, you know, we can't just rely on Steve to kind of sell an event. One day Steve will go, nah, I've had enough of this. Turns out it happened anyway. But we knew that we had a series of leaders and people who are so brilliant at talking about being and who they are in the world to create the change with other people. We said, we've got to get these people on stages. We've got to create a place where we can get this out and more. And that was how the whole concept around Birmingham was. It was about creating the start of sustainable change for being in its entirety. And so within Birmingham, you are going to have it all. 2 days, jam-packed, amazing speakers, some interactive work. It's going to be mind-blowing for the people that turn up. And for all the good that we do, the money is going to go to an amazing charity. So for those of you that don't know me, we actually created the event before we knew where the money was going. We said, hey, we're going to do a great big event. Oh, shit, where's the money going? Don't know. And I had one of those 2 a.m. moments. You know, the ones where you wake up and go, thought. And so while I was just in nothing but my boxers, I ran downstairs, grabbed a copy of the book and started flicking through it. And I was like, holy moly. I remembered something. There was a chapter about listening. And in that chapter, right at the very end, there's a story about a little girl. And that little girl is deaf. And when her mum goes to the door, her mum opens the door. There's someone there. But this little girl, she goes to the door and there's no one there because she can't hear the doorbell. And I sort of had one of those light bulb moments that was like, we know where we can put the money. We can put the money in a place that helps children hear the doorbell. Because for all the money that we raise out of this event, it's going to go to the children's hospital. And that children's hospital is where my daughter Jess was given her cochlear implant. So my daughter was born profoundly deaf. When she was 10 days old, we were told she can't hear a jet engine. That's how bad her hearing loss was. And then at the age of 4, better not do this on stage. At the age of 4, she had her implants and she could hear again. And it changed not just her life, it changed the lives of everyone in our family, our extended family, her friends, and everything that she could do at school. And it's just such an amazing parallel of the work that we do. The work that we do and who we are and what we put out into the world changes lives. The implants that my daughter had has changed her life, and it's changing the lives of everyone around her. And the people in the children's hospital who do this work, to them, it's just a day job. But to everyone that it impacts, it's a miracle. And so that was why there was so many comparisons that just suddenly hit a light bulb and said, that's where the money can go. So all the money that we raise is going to go to Birmingham Children's Hospital, and it's going to be ring fenced for the audiology team so that they can go on and change the lives of more children and how they hear, how they adjust to hearing even. It's impactful. So the whole thing about Birmingham is be there, be you, be present and listen. And it's about changing the lives of everyone in the room. It's the lives that they'll go on and change forevermore outside the room. And it's about the money that we can hand over that's going to change the lives of children in the local area and what that does to their lives and their family and forevermore. The ripples. These whole events about being are all about ripples and what people put out into the world forevermore. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes. How many people are already registered?
So we've got 150 registered up with a few extra that we are guaranteed and known. And then it's a free-for-all. Bring a friend. They'll thank you for it. Bring lots of friends, actually. But I mean, you know, part of this event, to be honest, Wolfgang, what's going on? It's just evolving constantly. We've got people that, you know, we're in London, you know, Dubem, he's working with like local groups. He's putting it out into the local community. We're trying to get the local community involved. You know, we want to make this so it, you know, takes being out to people that aren't just in our group. You know, this is something for the world to get on with. This is something that can make a difference hugely. So, you know, we're going to be talking to local groups now. We're getting contacts within the local community to get people actually from, you know, within a mile of the frigging facility to come and be with us. We're talking to the hospital. You know, we've got so many people that are involved in healthcare within the being movement. The fact that all the money is going to a hospital, it just fits. So we're talking about what we can do to get some of the doctors, some of the nurses there, you know, that this can make a massive impact in who they are and how they work with patients and, you know, from service, what it means to them. So, you know, we are really trying to push the boundaries here of people that we reach out to and bring to the party, because it's going to be a good party, a long-lasting, impactful party. I love it.
Great.
And yeah, I mean, and the other thing that's really nice about this is we talk about, you know, we're all in this for giving. It's about what we can give. Steve in London, one of the best things he said in London that really, really hit me, it's one of the few things I remember from London, let's face it, was, you know, he gave a whole section about giving. You know, it was just after the Ukraine war had started, and he started talking about, you know, everybody giving, you know, taking is, you know, such a root of evil, basically. And it was about, you know, give what you can, don't take, and receive well. And this whole thing has been brilliant in the people that have come along with us and given so much as well. So, you know, next week it's World Book Day. So World Book Day is, you know, a thing that kids get on board with. I don't know if you have it internationally, but World Book Day in the UK is quite a big thing now. And actually, one of the lovely things we've got is Nick Smith. And Giants and Smalls was based on Nick's interaction with Steve Hardison. That was the idea that started it all. And, you know, the whole story of a giant and a small was Steve and Nick. Of the event, we're actually going to be taking 200 copies of the book Giants and Smalls over to the Children's Hospital, and we're going to be giving it to every child in the hospital. They're getting a copy of Giants and Smalls as part of the event. You know, if you want to talk about kids who can get something from a book, I genuinely can't think of a better book to give them. It's the perfect book for these kids facing adversity and where they think life might have dealt them a bit of a shitty hand. It is the book. And, you know, Nick's given us that book for free. He's just said, go get it done. You know, no money, nothing. He didn't want anything for it. He just handed it over straight away. You know, he's such an amazing giant himself, let's say. So yeah, this whole thing, like I say, it's about creating good. It's about creating ripples, and it's about doing everything that we can and doing as much as we can to create as much good as we can.
Beautifully said, Matt. Thank you. I'd love to feel like I could do some more. So if you guys ever have any ideas, I know you share it on the Facebook group, etc. But yeah, I feel we can get that number up substantially.
Beautiful. The more the merrier. Let's talk. This whole thing is a lesson in creation. It's not just about what, you know, as much as I might be the front man for this, you know, I've got an amazing team working with me. I've got an amazing group of speakers. I've got an amazing, you know, support group around me, Eric and all the being team and everything else. You know, this is about everyone creating for the greater good, let's say. So yeah, let's talk. Let's see what we can create.
Hey, Matt, where can people get tickets? I don't think you mentioned that.
Everybody can get tickets on Eventbrite. So you can search for the Ultimate Burning Experience on Eventbrite. There is the website, which is www.tu-be-24.com. You can message me any time of day or night that you want, and I will get you sorted out with tickets. There is multiple routes around this. So yeah, I think the links are on the Facebook group as well. It should not be hard for anyone to find. We are available, let's say, in multiple places through multiple ways. And if anyone does have a problem, you just message me directly.
Well, I just want to share. I share these events anywhere and enroll people everywhere, all over the world. So people might come from Africa and Thailand and from everywhere. So I take it on in every conversation.
Thanks, buddy. Any final words? Eric, you want to hop in, buddy? Anything? Nope. I think, people, we are about done. It's been beautiful to see you all. Thank you to all of you for everything that you've contributed. It's been a pleasure to see you all. Some of you I haven't seen for a while. It's lovely. Jeff, good to see you here, buddy. And honestly, thank you for all the support you've been giving us. Most appreciated.
My
We'll be
pleasure.
finding you a job. We'll be finding you a job soon, mate.
Bring it on.
I like that. So, with that, everybody, go and have an amazing day. Go and create something special. I'm off to bed, and I will see you all soon.
Thank you, Matt.
Cheers,
Have a good
Matt.
night.
Gosh, thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye.
so. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Ciao.
Goodbye.
Bye.
We're back at the beginning.
And then there were 4.
Back to the start.
Kush, are you still here, or are you just hiding?
Nope.
Stop recording. Are you sure you want to stop recording?